Yes, good morning, people. Hope you are well. It was a debate whether to wear an Arsenal shirt or an England shirt. But you know what? This morning, I've got to rock the retro Arsenal shirt because England were disappointing last night. Spain were the better team. I hope you all feel okay this morning and aren't massively hungover or massively disappointed. But big up to all of you for being here bright and early. Big up to everybody who's come over from Footy Judge Mo, and big up to him for redirecting all of you as well. So good morning to all the viewers over there. I know most of you that subscribe to him subscribe to me as well. Very, very close friend of the show. So thank you so much to Mo for that. Good morning to all of you in the chat room as well that are here nice and early. Good morning to Steve. Good morning to Dan. Morning to Emerson. Morning to Mum, who's enjoying our holiday over in the New Forest and Cheddar Gorge. Good morning to Robin. Good morning to Jack. Good morning to Arch Angel. And good morning to Matt. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you all so much for being here. Good morning to Adam. Morning to Tony. Morning to Central Sam. And good morning to LFC Sai. Good morning to Mustafa. Morning to Philippe. Morning to Fizzy. Hope you're well, bro. Morning to Covenant. And morning to Helsinki. Morning to everybody else here as well that aren't in the chat but are listening, and all of you guys on catch up. I think we really do have to discuss England. Then we have to come into some of the transfer news. This morning, I don't know how to feel. I kind of feel like relief that it's over. We can now concentrate on club football. But I also feel incredibly disappointed because I just don't feel that the team turned up last night. I do feel that there's definitely question marks on the future of Gareth Southgate. There's certainly question marks of his lack of style and his tactics, or his clear style that isn't good enough, and his lack of substitutions at the right times. I also believe that we need a discussion about some of the individual performances as well and how fit some of them looked, because for me, there was definitely some unfit players out there this tournament. I think it's one of the most disappointing or most boring tournaments that we've seen in years. And I also think from England's perspective, it was one of the worst we've seen in individual performances and team collective performances. To go to that side of the bracket of the draw and be scraping past the teams that we did, it actually is the equivalent of Arsenal in an FA Cup draw, beating Chesterfield, Swindon, Leyton Orient, and Hull City, and then losing to Manchester City in the final. It is no different to me. Once you get somebody that comes up against you in an opposition that looks to play better and looks to be better, we can't get past them, whether it's in the final, the semi-final, or the quarter-final. If you look at all of the teams that Southgate has lost to, it has been somebody of the rankings that is of better quality than us on the pitch or as a team. Whether it's France in the quarterfinals of the last tournament, whether it's Italy in the finals of the last Euros, or of course the Spanish, who I thought were the best team in the tournament for me, in my opinion. Anyway, this tournament, England have just not managed to get across the line. And I want to start with Southgate because, let's be real, he's not anybody's massive number one for the management job. He was never one that was on anybody's lips. I think he's had some good moments, and I think he deserves a mention in terms of what those moments have brought the nation. I think he's definitely, as a man, made us enjoy watching England again from a what's the word? Can't think of the word really. Not through enjoyment of the style of play, but the togetherness of the squad. I think he's definitely got that together. He's definitely allowed there to be an atmosphere that we can enjoy again. But I just don't like the style of play. I don't like the style of football. And I don't like the style of football with the individuals that we've got on show, the talent that we actually do have to select from. We should be more attractive to watch. And that is a big question mark for me. There's no doubt that he's got us there. Yes, he absolutely has. He's got us to semi-finals. He's got us to finals. But do you know what? He's made us lose those games by his poor in-game management and lack of tactical nous. And also the lack of understanding of when and when not to use your squad. The subs were always way too late. Now, I'm going to take you back to the tournaments that he's been so far with England that we can look back on fondly in some moments, but certainly with frustration at others. We've gone through the majority of the tournaments beating the teams that on paper we should have beaten. There's been no shocks under Gareth Southgate, in my opinion. You can never look at it and go, Oh my God, how the hell did we lose to them? So on paper, when there is a team that looks better than England, or as a team is playing better than England, we lose. In the first tournament that I can remember getting fairly excited with, thinking, do you know what? We have a good squad of players here, and Gareth Southgate seems to be getting something out of them. It's not a great style of play to watch, but look, we're in the semi-finals. And of course, that was against Croatia. We went 1-0 up, if you remember, with a Kieran Trippier free kick. I remember everyone in Hyde Park and everyone at Box Park going absolutely mad. I was watching it in the garden with a load of friends, a barbecue. It was about 15 of us. And I remember going nuts. Then when they equalised and took it to extra time, we sat back and we sat back and we sat back. And funnily enough, they won 2-1 in extra time. Then the next tournament, we do one better by going to a final. We go to a final, and what happens? Again, within 3 minutes, Luke Shaw puts us 1-0 up. We're at Wembley, we're at home, it's all looking good. Then what happens? They equalise. And we sit back, and we sit back, and we sit back, and we sit back. We take it to extra time and penalties. We don't really have any more opportunities that are clear cut, and they beat us on a penalty shootout after unfortunate misses by Rashford, Sancho, and Saka. So everybody's feeling like, yeah, we've got the guy here because we've got to a semi-final, we've got to a final, and it looks like we're going to be able to go across the line with Southgate because of how close he's got us. Then we get France, who, let's be real, were phenomenal. And in that quarter-final, we had individual errors and mistakes from some of the players that he had selected. Harry Maguire got beaten by Olivier Giroud. Bukayo Saka was our best player on the pitch. He took him off. He had Jordan Henderson in midfield, and he brought on Jack Grealish in 93 minutes for, I think it was 25 seconds he had in the end. Poor. Not good enough. Everybody wanted him to go that I spoke to. Not good enough. We've got a great squad. That was the squad back then, by the way, which is even better now. Yeah. Didn't have the Bellingham balling out like he is now, and Foden treble winner and all these kind of stuff. This hadn't happened yet. None of this stuff had happened yet. So we go into this tournament and we're favourites to win it. We have got the best attack-minded players you can think of. You've got Palmer on the bench to use. You've got Gordon on the bench to use. You've got Tony and Watkins to use. You've got players that we haven't even seen much of, like Jared Bowen and Eze, that we hardly saw. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker to select from. You've also got Luke Shaw coming back into the mix, as well as Bukayo Saka, who can play a little bit of everywhere. Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka for the last 2 years now have been phenomenal. You look at what's happened with Foden, who's just been a treble winner. Jude Bellingham has won La Liga and the Champions League. He is a Ballon d'Or contender. Harry Kane is up there scoring goals left, right and centre for both Spurs and for Bayern Munich in the last 4 or 5 years. Then in midfield, you drop a little bit deeper. You've still got some backup there with the likes of Adam Wharton, who's come onto the scene, burst onto the scene, it has to be said, at Crystal Palace. Then at the back, people are saying we're quite weak, but really, Konza and Gehi are very, very good centre-halves and have done very well this tournament when asked upon. John Stones is a treble winner. Kyle Walker is an experienced head and the vice-captain of the team. And Jordan Pickford, apart from Raya, kept the most clean sheets this Premier League season. So give that squad to anybody else and they'll be absolutely rubbing their hands together thinking, this is a phenomenal squad. I've got everything I need here. I've got different strikers up top. I've got different creative players. I've got players that are versatile that can play on both wings. I've got people in the middle that can actually create and that can actually bomb forward, like Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden. They can arrive late in the box. Declan Rice has been doing this thing for Arsenal and dominating midfields, intercepting everything. This has got a little bit of everything, this team. Now we give it to Southgate, and unfortunately we look like Stoke City on a wet Tuesday night. It's boring. There's absolutely nothing to get excited about with this team. There's nothing I look at and think, do you know what? I know they're not quite there yet, but I can really see what he's doing. Like, I can really understand the style. I understand why Southgate's playing him there. I understand why Southgate's using that system. I understand why our formation is not here. Now, for me, first of all, the first thing he started to do, which was frustrate the hell out of us in the group stages, was not play his best 11. Trent Alexander-Arnold not being in this side was ridiculous. And when he was in the side, to play him twice in midfield and then dump him for the rest of the tournament was just absolutely criminal, in my opinion. Now, when we did dump him, we then got a system change. And that three at the back would have worked perfect for Trent at right wing back and Saka at left wing back if Shaw wasn't still fit at this time. But he didn't want to try that. He wanted to put Saka and Trippier in. Now, that's fine. So I'm lining up thinking, right, Trippier will be right wing back and Saka will be left wing back. At least that'll give us a bit of balance. No, 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 no. Saka's playing on the right still and Trippier's playing on the left still. Now, Trippier's got no left foot. He just comes in on his right. Now, last night, I actually thought he would have gone with Trippier because Yamin Lamau comes in on his left-hand side, cuts in on his left foot, perfect for a right-footed left back. But he actually went with Shaw. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually thought Shaw was our best player last night. I thought he was really good. Considering he's not been 100% fit, I thought he had a really good game. But that's the sort of mindset we're at with Gareth Southgate. It's totally confusing. Nobody quite understands it. The lack of subs in this tournament have been poor. But before we get to that, let's look at how we have been scraping across the line against these teams. We played Serbia. We didn't walk the floor with them. It wasn't a breeze in the park with them. Not that it ever should be in a game, but look at the quality or the difference in quality between what we have on the show to what Serbia had on show. It should have been a 2-3-0 comfortable victory. It was not, because our style was not there. Now, I believe for the first 25 minutes, Bellingham was balling out. If you remember, Saka was absolutely destroying their left back. And I thought, this is a really impressive start. I hope this continues. I never saw that until maybe the first 25 minutes against Holland. So we go into the next group stage and we can't beat Denmark. We end up drawing. Then we get Slovenia. We draw with them. It's just an absolute mess. An absolute mess. Then we go into the next round and we get Slovakia. And everybody thinks this will be, what a draw. Well, I can't believe the bracket draw we're on. This is an unbelievable route to the final. There's no way we won't get there. Slovenia, Slovakia, Switzerland, Netherlands, final. You couldn't ask for a better side of the draw. We saw the other side of the draw. There was Portugal's in it, France's were in it, Belgium's were in it, Spain's were in it. I've missed somebody else. Germany was in it. How we missed all of those teams is just beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. Now, I don't know if we'd have beaten those teams on another night. I have no idea. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't have gone to the final, but it does mean it would have been particularly hard. And when we played Slovakia, I know so many, not Southgate lovers or Southgate defenders or Southgate fans, but fans who have appreciated how Southgate has done at England and how he's got us there. I know so many of them that were looking at the scenario thinking, this is dire. Like, this is just awful. I can't watch any more of this. And if it isn't for a moment of magic from Jude Bellingham with an overhead kick, England are going out. And that would have been worse than Iceland. It would have been. The football was as bad, if not worse. The tournament was probably as boring. We'd scored less goals and we created less. So that would have been worse. I can't actually believe that we were relying on a last-minute kick from Jude Bellingham to get through against Slovakia, but we were. We were. And then we go through to Switzerland. Now, let me just pause there before we go to Switzerland and we go to Netherlands. I saw a stat last night that I was sent on my WhatsApp group that throughout this tournament, England have less XG than Croatia. Croatia, ladies and gentlemen, went out in the group stages. So that proves how bad we were in terms of creativity, in terms of chances, in terms of goals scored, in terms of a style or attacking-minded style. That stat sums up why Gareth Southgate has come to an end at England, in my opinion. So the Switzerland game, it wasn't great. I didn't quite understand. The system change didn't really work. It didn't really do too much, if I'm honest. Switzerland were there for the taking. They weren't as good as I thought they were going to be. And people said they were a good side. They drew to Scotland, for goodness sake. Like, they were not an amazing side. So I do say that as much as it was a great night, great day, great evening, great early evening, whatever you want to call it, Bukayo Saka turned up and saved us. And with Bukayo Saka, I think he's one of the players that can hold his head high in this tournament. There's probably 3 or 4 of them that can, for sure. And he was one. And the kid plays anywhere. The kid will go right wing, back, right wing, left wing, back. He'll go up top if you have to put him up top. He'll go in the middle if you have to put him in the middle. And he don't moan, he gets on with his job. And he has been an absolute delight and it's proud, proud, proud moments that he's had in an England shirt as an Arsenal fan. In the last few tournaments, he's been England's most important and best player, like, without a doubt. Bukayo Saka, you look back to the moments and look at what he went through. Absolutely phenomenal, this kid. Really is. So we go through on penalties. And do you know what? Fair play on that, because credit to where it's due. Southgate 100% deserves a mention for the penalty takers that he selected, because all 5 of them were phenomenal. And I think for the first time now in a long time, England 100% have confidence when it comes to penalties now. Jordan Pickford in goal, and also the penalty takers we've got, whether it be Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, whether it be Bukayo Saka now, whether it be Cole Palmer, whether it be Jude Bellingham, whether it be Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's enough penalty takers in this team now for you to believe that we have got confidence in going through. That is something definitely we need to be looking at for Southgate to be selecting, but also to the players that we've got in terms of their quality. Then we go through against the Netherlands, and if I'm honest with you, it was probably the most excitement we've had in the whole of the tournament. We didn't play badly, but we didn't play amazing. And for the first 20 or 30, we looked like a bit of a different side. Foden was looking like he was balling out again. It looked to be that the midfield was controlled. We had options either side. But Harry Kane, who we'll come to in a minute, definitely 100% does not look fit. And when he came on off, I was like, oh, wow. Watkins come on. And do you know what? He was phenomenal. Deserved all the credit and plaudits that he got, and wanted to see more of him and Toney together, if I'm honest, this tournament. I really did, because I think that as a pair could have worked phenomenally well. So we go through to the final, and the minute that we get Spain, we go back to the old England. Last night was pretty dire. I didn't think England were good enough. I thought we were second to every ball. I thought we were second in every department in terms of quality. I don't think there was any area of the pitch where I thought that we dominated or thought we looked the better. I thought defensively at times we looked pretty shaky. John Stones and Kyle Walker in particular. Shaw and Guehi on the other side were probably 2 of the better players. In the midfield, I don't think Declan Rice had a very good game again. I thought Kobbie Mainoo looked good in moments and then looked eaten up and quite vulnerable at moments as well. Jude Bellingham, glimpses, but nothing to control the midfield. Phil Foden, invisible again. Harry Kane, definitely not fit. The deepest I've ever seen a striker in world football, playing behind every single other striker, player on the pitch, sorry. Bukayo Saka, moments. And then the subs come on. Now, Palmer should have been on a hell of a lot sooner than he was. Palmer, for me, has been a brilliant player this tournament. He's one that's lit up every single time he's come on. He's looked to be one of our best players. He's looked to try to make something happen. He's looked to try and create. He's looked to be in with the vision, with the passes. Brilliant pass to Watkins for his goal that goes unnoticed and underrated. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant vision last night with a great, great pass as well that people will forget perhaps that didn't come off. So when you look at it, he really 100% should have played a hell of a lot more minutes. Watkins, Toney, Eze, Bowen all should have played a hell of a lot more minutes. Trent should have played a hell of a lot more minutes, because we went with pretty much the same 11 and used the same 2 or 3 subs. So out of the whole squad, we really only used about 12 or 13 players. That's poor from Southgate. That's poor. Really poor. So last night, I felt we needed a little bit of X factor, and I don't think Southgate had the understanding of what that was looking like in his mindset, but also he didn't have the bottle to go with it a little bit earlier. He didn't want to take Kane off earlier. Why not? He didn't want to take Palmer on earlier. Why not? Why did we not see Toney? Why was the point of bringing Toney on again, like he did in the Slovakia game, for 2.5 minutes? What is the point of that? There's absolutely no point of that whatsoever. Foden was stinking the place out again. Silent, invisible game. Bring him off, get Toney on, and go there and see what we can do. Change it up. Bring on Trent if you want. Yeah? Now, what makes this even more frustrating is when Palmer equalised, which was an unbelievable goal, by the way. I thought that was fantastic work from Saka, Bellingham. Great Saka to Bellingham. Great layoff. Palmer, unbelievable hit. What does he do? He gets Conor Gallagher to warm up. So instead of everybody in the crowd in the stadium going, come on, go for it, one more, we can do this, he's thinking, let's shore it up. Let's bring on Conor Gallagher at 1-1. Now, we never got to use him because Spain scored and won 2-1. So we got him to go and sit back down because then he didn't want to shore it up. So Gareth Southgate's got one mindset. Shore it up. If you're winning, shore it up. And if you're equalising, shore it up. There's only one mindset. It's never go for it. The only time that we see a little bit of that is when we're 1-0 down. When we're 1-0 down, we have to kind of go for it. When it's in the 1-1s or the we're winning 1-0, get Conor Gallagher on, get Konza on, get Kobbie Mainoo on. Let's shore it up. It's really, really poor. Really over the top worrying, over the top safe, over the top negative play. And that is why a lot of England fans have had enough of him now. Because there is no doubt in my mind that with a manager that was 1, attack minded, 2, a little bit more experienced, and 3, had a little bit more bottle, would have got England across the tournament by now. There's no doubt in my mind that England would have 100% got across the line with a manager that's better. Anthony Gordon, I've seen in the chat, should have got more minutes. Another player that's hardly kicked a ball. I know he fell off a scooter, but come on. You're telling me he's not going to be able to kick a ball in the whole of the tournament because of that? Poor man. Should have seen more of him. One of the best left wingers in the Premier League this season just gone. We didn't see him at all. Really poor, if I'm honest. So I wanted everybody, like everybody else, to see the England team that we all wanted to see. And I feel like that was Pickford in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Stones, Gehi and Shaw. In the midfield, Bellingham, Rice and Foden in the 10. Palmer, Saka, Kane. And if Kane wasn't fit, that's fine. You bring on Tony, or you use Tony and Watkins and drop one of the ones in midfield. That's absolutely fine to see that. We didn't see Gordon enough. We didn't see Eze enough. We never saw Bowen. In the third group stage, England should have been playing all their kids. Not kids, you know what I mean? The B team. Yeah? We should have saw Bowen and Eze starting. We should have saw Adam Wharton. We should have saw Trent. Should have saw Palmer. Should have saw Watkins, Tony. All these guys should have been playing in the third game because England should have been through. The problem you've got is England weren't good enough to get through comfortably. We had to rely on last-minute overhead kicks to get through games, penalty shootouts to get through games, last-minute winners against Netherlands. We were getting across the line very luckily. Let's be real. Let's just have it right. Very, 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 very poor. So I have to say that it's been disappointing, and I will give players criticism, players credit where it's due, and the manager criticism and credit where it's due. And I think all of them have a little bit of that in every single one of them. I think there's credit for some individuals. I think there's poor performances from individuals. I think there's parts of Gareth Southgate's subs that worked, with Watkins coming on and getting a winner, with Palmer coming on and creating, assisting or scoring, with Tony coming on and changing the game against Slovakia. Fair play. But actually, there's a lot that he did wrong and a lot that he got wrong. And in the last 4 tournaments, I've still not seen a style of play that I can say is attractive to watch. And that's why I believe it should be the last tournament for Gareth Southgate. Before we move on to transfers, I'll give my ratings for the tournament. I'm actually going to use my phone because I wrote them down yesterday because it was in a group that we were chatting about it with. I think it's been a poor tournament overall. And if I'm honest with you, I think it's been poor quality as well from a lot of the teams. I was not impressed with France, Portugal. Wasn't impressed massively with any team other than perhaps Germany. Definitely Spain, who won it. But there was nobody in that tournament that I looked at and thought, "Core, there's no way England are beating them." So, should have been England's tournament. It wasn't. The previous couple should have been England's tournament. They weren't. It looks to me as if there's a common denominator here, and I think it is the manager. Let's go with the player ratings. Jordan Pickford. Let me know what you think, actually. Play along with me here in the chat. Let me know for each player that I call out what you would give them out of 10 and see how close it matches mine. Now, some of them, I did this when I was really annoyed after the game. So this will be quite funny to see if I actually agree with myself here, because after the game, there was always raw emotion. You're always angry. So this is the tournament, not last night's. I give Jordan Pickford a 7.5. I thought he was one of the better players. I thought he was definitely one that can hold his head up high, kept us in the tournament. Yes, doesn't catch the ball sometimes and annoys me. But if I'm honest with you, I thought he was one of the better players. So I've given Jordan Pickford a 7.5. I haven't rated everybody that come on for a couple of minutes or players that made featured like Eze or Bowen or whoever it be. I haven't featured them. I've only gone for the ones that have actually properly played football. Conor Gallagher's and all them. I haven't bothered, right? So put Jordan Pickford 7.5. A lot of people are agreeing around that mark as well. Kyle Walker, one of the worst ones. Honestly, I gave him a 4. I thought he was absolutely shocking for most of that tournament. I thought he was terrible. I just thought he was poor in every. Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing. -6, 3, 2. Yeah, listen, I gave him a 4, and maybe that was kind. I thought he was really poor, like really poor. I kind of feel like he's potentially coming to the decline of a footballer at the moment. Yes, he's still got a bit of pace, but I thought he was just poor in everywhere. In his passing, I thought he got torn apart in most games. I thought defensively he was a real weak part of the pitch. Terrible, absolutely awful. Was not good enough. John Stones. If he plays like that, Manchester City will sell him. I gave him a 5. I thought he was. There was one game, I can't remember what one it was, where he got past the ball from Gary, who was looking up at the sky, and then they nearly chipped Pickford from it. Just absolutely awful. Like, not good enough for me. So John Stones, 5. Mark Gahey, I gave him a 7.5. I thought he was definitely one of the better players in the tournament. Considering he's a 23-year-old, it's his first tournament in an England shirt, he was the best defender that we had. That is worrying. That is saying something. For me, he was a very steady player that had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, that had to partner John Stones ahead of Maguire. And I thought he was the one who was actually looking more reliable. And that's worrying when you're surrounded by the trophies that John Stones and Kyle Walker have won. When you're best at Palace, that's a problem. So for me, I've given him a 7.5. Kieran Trippier. Oh, my dear Lord. Now, listen, I like Trips. He's a player who's been consistently good for the last decade, probably in an England and club shirt. But I've given him a 4 with Walker. I thought the pair of them were shocking. Trippier trying to play at left back is just poor. So I gave him a 4 out of 10. Absolutely awful. Luke Shaw, I gave him a 6. Couldn't really give him much more than that because he's only played a little bit. But what he's done, he's given us balance, and he's managed to, in my opinion, pick out one of the best players last night. For me, I thought he was man of the match in an England shirt. So I'm giving him a 6, considering that he's not fit 100%. Bukayo Saka, I've given him a 7.5 as well, along with Gahey and Pickford, one of the better players. One of the better players. For me, the reason we're still in the tournament is thanks to players like him. And whenever I watch him in an England shirt, he just plays so well, in my opinion. He's one of our best players. Definitely, 100%. So big up to Bukayo Saka. Declan Rice, I've given him a 6. I thought he had one man of the match performance, and that was about it. The rest of it was pretty meaty from him. I don't think he looked 100% himself. He's played about 50 games for Arsenal this season, and you could tell. I don't think he did much in that midfield to control it at all. He had a real poor couple of moments. Xavi Simons scored, which I thought was his fault individually. I thought it was a very meh performance from Rice, if I'm honest with you. And I'm a big fan of him. He's one of my favourite players. He's been phenomenal for Arsenal in his first season, but it weren't quite working for him, in my opinion. Then we go to Kobbie Mainoo, and I've been so impressed with him, man. I've given him a 7 out of 10. I could have given him a little bit higher, but he hasn't played every single minute of the games like the guys that have got the 7.5s. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo will be at Manchester United if things continue the way things have been at Manchester United, because he will be picked up and selected by somebody. At 19 years old, Manchester United need to do everything they can to keep hold of him and pray that the new structure they put in place works, because he is a talent. At 19 years old, I've been so impressed at how comfortable he looks on the ball. And I was really impressed with him in Manchester United shirt when he stepped up to the international side of the game in England. My word, what a talent. He is phenomenal. He's going to be superb. So I think for me, yes, Z, I know he's not going to come to Arsenal. I didn't say that. But I do think that Manchester United need to start picking their performances up, because players like that will definitely not stay there. So for me, he's going to be one to watch for the future, man. I've been so impressed with him. He really has impressed me. The next player on the list I've got is Phil Foden. I've given him a 5. I thought he was one of the most invisible players that we had there. And I understand that people will talk about him being played on the left-hand side, but he was only there for a couple of games. The player's been poor. He really has. Like, he's played one glimpse of quality against the Netherlands. He's been invisible. One of the worst players that we had. A lot of people are giving him worse than 5. I've got 3s in the chat, 4s in the chats, 3s in the chats. Foden's poor in the chats. He was really poor. He disappointed me, if I'm honest, because you can sit there and blame Southgate all you want, but nothing about his game that made me think, do you know what? Look how good Foden is on this left here. Why is he on the left? Bring him in the middle. Never did that. Where's Foden? He's invisible. Again last night, invisible. Where is he? And people will think, oh, you're just slamming him because I love Phil Foden. I think he's phenomenal. He's one of the best players to watch in the Premier League. He lights it up. Player of the year. He certainly wasn't in an England shirt, that's for sure. Next player on the list is Jude Bellingham, who I've given a 6. And if I'm honest with you, the only reason I've given him a 6 is because he did an overhead kick. The rest of the time, pretty invisible. Started the tournament by a best player by a mile for 25 minutes of absolute pure genius in the middle. Then what happened? Nothing. So I've given him a 6. I can't give him higher than that. Sorry. I love Jude Bellingham, but there's no way that anybody can tell me that if they didn't know football and they looked at him and they thought, you are the Ballon d'Or nominator, there's no way anyone can tell me that he won a Champions League and a La Liga, because he looked worse than some of the players on the pitch, for sure. And some of the opposition players on the pitch at times weren't working for him. Harry Kane. If I'm honest, I'm being kind here. I've given him a 3. And that is being kind. I thought he was ineffective. I thought he was unfit. I thought he was an embarrassment at times. I thought him leading the line was a shambles. I saw more of our defenders higher up the pitch than I did Harry Kane at times. It was awful. So I'm being kind. I don't give minuses, but I kind of could get close to that with Harry Kane. That's how poor he was. And there's no way he's fit. No way he's fit. Let's do a few of the subs that come on. We've spoken about them already, but let's give him a rating. Cole Palmer, I've given him a 7. I think he deserves probably more than that if he would have played longer. But every time he come on, he lit it up. I thought he was really good. Cole Palmer should have played more. I've given him a 7. Ollie Watkins, I've given a 6. I think when he came on and won the game for us, that deserved to be given more. So maybe I could have put it higher. But because he hasn't played enough, I can't really give him 7s, 8s or 9s, scoring 1 goal. So I've given him a 6. I've given Tony a 5.5. It's not because he'd done anything wrong, just because I hardly saw him. I mean, he came on and he flicked the header on for the goal, and he came on and put his body on the line. I can't really give him much more than that. I don't think he did much. Gareth Southgate, I've given him a 5. Mediocre tournament. I know people will say it's harsh because he got us to a final. He basically won the games he should have won and lost the games that I thought he was going to lose. I can't give him any higher than that, really. And maybe I could have given him a 6 for getting us to the final, but does he deserve to give given a 6 to get us to a final with that squad? Probably not really. So I've given him a meaty score, which is halfway. So that's what I've given him. I don't rate him. I know if I gave him a 0, people will go, you hate him, you're hating on him. I don't hate Gareth Southgate. I don't rate Gareth Southgate. There's a difference. I don't hate the man. Everybody else was pointless rating, if I'm honest with you. So they're my ratings for the tournament so far. A lot of you agreed with them. A lot of you disagreed and said that, if I'm honest, you should have been putting people much lower. So that just shows you what sort of a tournament we did actually have, which is mad getting to a final and being so negative in that light. But we are, because let's be real, it hasn't been good. It has not been good. There's nobody in that tournament that I go, do you know what? He looks a phenomenal player. He's been one of the players of the tournament. We haven't really got that many. Now, some of them will get there. Player of the tournament, team of the tournament, when it comes out, there'll be England players in there because we got to the final. But should they really be deserved? I'm not sure. And when you do a 1-11 of Spain and England, there ain't many Spain players getting in. There really ain't. But this tournament, Williams will get in. Yamal will get in. Rodri and Fabian Ruiz will get in. You'll probably get Cucurella that gets in. And really, some of those names should not be getting ahead of ours, but they have. So, listen, well played to Spain. They deserved it. They were the better side. They were the better team on the night as well. And for me, when Rodri come off, it actually confused England, if I'm honest with you. And I thought that was going to be a bonus. And as soon as he come off, it looked better. Danny Olmo, another one who's going to get into the team of the season. Rowan, well played. So that's where we're at. Club football, ladies and gentlemen, is back. that is what we are going to discuss next. We are going to be talking about the transfers. We are going to be talking about the clubs involved in the papers this morning. So let's get to it, shall we? The first person that we're going to talk about is, in fact, an England player, and it is Mark Guehi. Now, Mark Guehi is now linked with pretty much every Premier League player, Premier League club, should I say, under the sun. 24-year-old Crystal Palace international is looking to probably reject a new contract. That has come from Fabrizio Romano, and he is wanted by Liverpool. Now, this one makes total sense to me. Liverpool have apparently begun negotiations to sign the 24-year-old, and Liverpool, for me, need a centre-half. This one makes total sense. I think they have been impressed, or everybody, to be fair, has been impressed with Mark Guehi this tournament, and it is one that I would actually quite like at Arsenal. Now, I personally feel like he would probably not come to Arsenal because Saliba and Gabriel are there, but Liverpool, there's 100% a player that I think would be a fantastic signing. Now, I probably think he's going to cost 50 or 60 million, which is what you'd expect for a centre half in that age that's English to cost. That would be a very good signing for Liverpool. They need a long-term partner for Kenyatte. Obviously, Van Dijk is not going to be able to play 30 games anymore. Kenyate's got injury problems, and they haven't really got any backup, have they? Joe Gomez can play there. I think Matip, if he's still there, can go there, but I think there's rumours that he might be leaving or has left. I think he'd be a fantastic signing for Liverpool, and it's one that makes total sense to me. Now, do not be surprised, people, if Manchester United come in, because I don't think Everton are going to sell Jared Branthwaite now. Because Onana's gone for 50 million to Aston Villa, they don't need to sell anybody else now for their PSR. So I'd be amazed if Branthwaite is sold. And that, to me, at £80 million has just fended them off completely. Now, Man United might come back in with a bid of 60 or 70 million. I've no idea. But with De Ligt and with bid accepted for Lenny Yoro, I'd be amazed if they do get Branthwaite. Now, Lenny Yoro, I think, is going to want to go to Real Madrid. I don't think he wants to go to Manchester United. But at the moment, Real Madrid are standing firm, saying that they're not going to bid any more than 35. Manchester United have bid for 50. So Lille are probably not going to accept it, right? They're not going to. But for me, I would be surprised if Mark Guehi does not look at Manchester United as well as Liverpool. Now, I would 100% go to Liverpool over Man United, personally, because I think Liverpool are in a better position at the moment. But you don't know with the new structure at Manchester United where they're going to be. So it could be that it interests him as well. So that's the first rumour that we got. We're going to stick with Liverpool, actually. But first of all, we are going to stick with a teammate of Mark Guehi, Adam Wharton. Now, Wharton is saying that he's going to stay at Crystal Palace, and he is going to be, at 20 years old, turning down interest from the following clubs: Manchester City, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid. Now, when you're 20 and you're being linked with players of that or teams of that quality, you know you've got a hell of a future. This kid has. Trust me, I've been very impressed since he's come over from Blackburn, from a championship side. Another one that's come from the championship. And people say, don't sign players from the championship. It's got to be levels. No, you can get some gems. And this player looks like a gem. I know we didn't see him much at England, but I honestly believe that he has been a very good player for Palace. And I can see why City, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid are linked with him. At 20 years old, how good can he get? How good can he get? And if you're fending off interest from them, wow, you're going to be an absolute baller. Let's be real. Crystal Palace cannot afford to lose all their squad. If they lose Wharton, Guehi, Elise, and Eze, they could even be flirting with relegation. Like, that's how bad it could get. So Palace, they need to keep hold of these players of theirs. They really do. So, yeah, watch the space with this one. The next rumour we're going to talk about does actually involve Liverpool, because Liverpool have actually got some links, or there are some links with Liverpool, should I say, for other centre halves. Now, let me find the rumour first before I bring the picture up. Here we go. I don't know how many of you know or remember the links to this player, but Arsenal were linked with him also. This is the Sporting Lisbon centre-half who partners Diamande, the centre-half that I want, Inacio. Inacio is a centre-half that can play in defensive midfield. Liverpool are tracking him. And according to Court Offside, they have made Sporting Lisbon and Portugal centre-back Goncalo Inacio, who's 22 years old, a priority transfer target. Now, this has been someone that Liverpool have been linked with for a while. So today, Liverpool are linked with both Inacio and Guehi. They definitely need a CDM and a centre-back. I think if Liverpool want to go anywhere this season in terms of a title push, they need to go and get a DM and a centre-back. That's for sure. And I would even argue they might need more than that. So for me, there's definitely definitely solid concrete links here with Inacio. I still don't know much about him. When I have looked at him, he's looked very steady. He's not looked to the level of Diamande, in my opinion. I think Diamande will go on to be one of the best centre halves around. I think he looks like Lenny Yoro to be a one for the future. At what, 18 and 20, they're both looking very, very highly rated. And I think if you was to try and get them as a pair, wow, I mean, nothing would get through your defence, let me tell you that. So Liverpool looking at Inacio, but also looking looking at Gearheat as well. Big up to Locks in the chat. I hope you're well, bruv. Says, have you spoken with Southgate's #1 fan, Joe Wyman, or has he gone quiet? Make sure you do me a favour, people. Make sure you're following Locks on socials. Make sure you're following Just Joe as well. Just Joe is probably one of the biggest Gareth Southgate fans I've ever met. And last night, he was very quiet, held his hands up and said, I still rate what Southgate's done, but maybe he does need to go. Maybe he's taken us as far as he can. And you can't say any different with that. You've got to say fair play for Joe with that one. Big up to Locks. I hope you're well, bruv. We'll definitely get you on here again soon. I hope you are okay, my friend. Let's talk about this one as well, because Coop Miners is being linked and reported with a move away. It's Juventus that are actually linked with him. They're keen on the Atalanta Dutch midfielder. He's 26 years old, injured at the moment, along with De Jong, who actually would have been the pair in midfield that they would have gone with, apparently, in the Netherlands team. But he's been linked heavily with Liverpool, and that has come from Rudy Galletti. So Liverpool looking at this player as well. I don't know much about him. I can't lie. However, Atalanta have had a very, very good couple of years. They've had a good couple of seasons, actually. They've had a few good players that people are looking at that have taken from Atlanta over the last couple of seasons. So I will look at that signing in more, look at that player as well in more detail, and see where we're at. I also believe that Liverpool are looking in the right areas now. Liverpool have definitely got to strengthen in those two areas. Before we go to the next story, do me a favour, people. There's 400 of you in here. Please make sure you do me a favour and hit the like button. We haven't got to 200 likes yet, and that is the next target we need to do. So please make sure you hit the like button for me, and we will keep moving. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 21k. Our next target is 30. So if you hit the subscribe button, which is free, you can stay part of our community. Hit the notification bell to know when we're on, and you can see us every morning at 8:30, and of course, afternoon and evening as well. Let's move to Manchester United. We know that they've signed this man. This is now confirmed. Joshua Zirkzee, Dutch centre forward, one that Dan Ashworth believes will be one of the best in the world if coached correctly. That is from Sky Sports, direct from the horse's mouth. I think he's a talented player. Do I think he's going to come into the Premier League and light it up? I have my question marks. Not because I don't think he will, just because I have actually had no idea of how good this guy can be. Now, I know that there's rumours that he could actually play wide as well, but he's quite tall. He's probably around about 6'4" from what I believe. And he's a young player, young Dutch international that Bologna did very well with, was at Bayern Munich as a youngster, so he has got some experience. And he has been signed for Manchester United for £40 million. Now, the actual release clause was around about 34, but Manchester United wanted to pay in installments, so have paid that little bit extra. They've got that £40 million mark that they've then paid over, I think it's a 3-year period. So Manchester United getting this done for quite a cheap deal, and one that I think they're quite excited about. Obviously, he's got the Dutch link with Ten Hag. He's definitely a player that's highly rated and spoken about. He was linked with Arsenal as well. So I think we need to keep an eye on what Xerxes going to be about. Is he going to play instead of or with Rasmus Højlund? Are they going to mould him in differently? It's going to be a new look Manchester United for sure. But Xerxes is one that I do want to keep my eyes on for sure, because I think he could be a talented boy. Let's move to a player that's definitely leaving Manchester United. Well, one that at least we believe is leaving Manchester United, and that is Jadon Sancho. Now, there was rumours only a couple of days ago that Sancho and Ten Hag had kissed and made up. I don't think, however, that means he's going to want to stay in a Manchester United shirt and play under him. I don't think he can forgive and forget quite that quick. So there are rumours that Juventus are the ones that are reportedly interested. They are determined to sign him for £40 million. Now, that is a steal. If you can get anything out of Jadon Sancho like his Dortmund form, £40 million is an absolute steal. If you remember, Manchester United signed him for double that. So when he came from Manchester City, everyone said this boy's a talent. Went to Dortmund, absolutely lit the league up. Since being at Manchester United, he's only had glimpses and he's never shown the form that he did over in Germany. When he went back there on loan, people said that he started to light the league up again. So there is a player there, certainly. And if it was a £40 million signing. That is a very good signing for someone. But I think he does want to go abroad. He wants to try and, I don't think he's settled in the Premier League, has he? At either City or United. So he needs to go and try and get a career that he believes is the best for him. And I think Jadon Sancho will end up leaving Manchester United. But where will he go? Will he go to the Premier League? Will he go to the clubs abroad? I think Juventus could be a good move for him. So let's see. But Manchester United are also very, very interested in this guy. And it has been reported that they have interest in Ivan Toney. And that's from the Mail on Sunday. I think this could be a player that leaves. Whether he's going to go to Manchester United or not, I'm not so sure. Now, Manchester United over the years, people will say to me, why do they need a striker? They've just got Xerxes, they've got Højlund. But if you remember, Manchester United, when they were at their best, they always had top strikers. And they had more than one, they had more than two. They normally had three or four. If you remember under Fergie in the 90s, they had Sheringham and Solskjaer that backed up York and Cole. And under Fergie in the late 2010s, they had Rooney and Van Persie with Danny Welbeck and Chicharito. Berbatov. You know, these are the sort of things people forget. Manchester United are not the Manchester United of old. They're trying to get that way. So that's why I think they've got plan A, plan B, plan C links to strikers and centre-halves. It's clear they need a number 9. It's clear they need a centre-back. It's clear they need a midfielder. The midfielder they want, I think, is Ugarte. The defenders they want, it seems, are De Ligt, Branthwaite, Guehi, or Lenioro. The striker they want is clearly Xerxes, but Tony's been linked as well, and they've got Rasmus Højlund. I think Manchester United are doing the right thing here. I really do. And for the players they're going for, they're actually getting decent fees for them, really. If you can get a centre-half like Euro for 50 million, if you can get De Ligt for 40, if you can get Mark Guehi for 50, if you can get Tony for 50, Xerxes for 40, Ugarte for the roundabout that as well. They're not spending billions and billions here. They're not splashing 100 million here, 100 million there, 100 million everywhere. They're actually going in a structured way for players that I think it could be. And I think this could be very interesting for Manchester United. They're the club I'm most interested in seeing what happens structure-wise at a club because it's been poor. And they're a club that are massive. They have spent a hell of a lot of money. But unfortunately, look at what it's been spent on because they don't have a clue what they're doing at the top. And now it looks like they might do. We're still not hit 200 likes, people. We've got to hit 61 more likes. So please make sure you hit the like button. We just need to get that up to 200 for our next target. So please make sure you do that. There's well over 400 of you in here. That's only 50% of you that need to hit the like button. That means there's a lot of you that haven't done so already. So please make sure you hit the like and subscribe. 2 buttons are absolutely free. And we are trying to push as much as we can to get these subscribers up. So please help us along the way, people. All you got to do is click 2 buttons and it's done. So please make sure that you do that. Let's move to Manchester City, shall we? Because Julian Alvarez, they are sitting down with. They are going to hold talks with a 24-year-old Argentina international because after the Copa America has finished, which they won, by the way, last night with a Martinez goal, PSG are interested in the striker. He wants more playing time, but Man City want to try and keep him. This has come from Fabrizio Romano. Now, Chelsea were apparently looking around Julian Alvarez. This is a player I rate. I think he's a really good talent. I think he's one that 100% wants to play first-team football, and I can see why. This is going to become a little bit of a similar scenario with Manchester City. I don't believe Manchester City are ever going to have a striker that's settled behind Haaland. They're never going to have one that they want to buy that they just believe is going to be happy to sit on the bench like Scott Carson is at Manchester City, for example. I think it could be a good signing for Chelsea if he was interested in going there. Maybe he'll look abroad. I don't know how set he is on staying in England, Julian Alvarez. I'm sure there's clubs abroad like PSG that are interested in him. But is he good enough to be the number 9 striker? Is he good enough to be the number 1? Is he good enough to be a Haaland or a Harry Kane? I'm not so sure. I don't think I look at Julian Alvarez and think, wow, you are just absolutely killing it to be there. I wonder if he's better to play him with someone. He hasn't really got that number 9 position that he's set on. I like him there. But when Manchester City play him, he's normally playing a little bit deeper or on the wing, very similarly to Gabriel Jesus. Is he as clinical as Haaland in front of goal? No, but I don't think he's quite as clinical not as clinical as Haaland, but is he better than Jesus in front of goal? Yeah, I think he probably is, if I'm honest. So this would be a good signing for Chelsea. This would be a good signing for anybody, actually. But Manchester City are set to try and keep him, and they're going to have talks with him to look at his future. Now, that means they're basically going to try to offer him some form of role where you're going to be promised more game time or whatever it be. But they need to look at that because he will definitely 100% be interested in leaving. And I don't blame him. Like, I don't blame him. He's going to sit behind, isn't he, Gareth? He's going to sit behind, Haaland and think, why am I not playing more games? And he's a great player. He's a great, great player. So I can see there being some legs in this one. The other thing I can see happening is this guy. I think he wants to go. I think he does. I think he's interested in the Saudi Arabian football. But Manchester City plan to hand Ederson a take it or leave it pay hike to try to stop him from joining the Saudi Arabia Football Club. Now, he wants to go because of the money. That means Manchester City are going to have to pay up to keep him. Manchester City might not want to pay up to keep him. He's being offered £600,000 a week, which is absolutely ridiculous for any footballer. So I can understand why he wants to go. He's in his 30s now, I believe. I think he's just hit 30. He's a Premier League goalkeeper that I've rated. He's been phenomenal for Manchester City and has been so pivotal to the style and the way that they play in terms of out from the back. But is Ederson going to stay at Manchester City, or are they going to use Ortega or replace him? Now, Ederson wants to go to Saudi Arabia. Manchester City want to try and get 50 million, and I think Saudi Arabia are looking to pay 25, 30. It's a real tough one for Man City, this, because they don't want to lose him. But if Ederson wants to go and the player wants to say goodbye, it's going to be very, very hard to keep him. And that could be difficult. That could be very difficult. So I think this one could have some legs. Ortega is a phenomenal goalkeeper, probably the best backup goalkeeper in the whole of the league. We're probably getting the number one for most clubs in the Premier League. So they could keep hold of him, or they could go for a goalkeeper to replace him, like a Diogo Costa or an Jan Oblak, or they could go for Michael Magnon, or they can go for somebody who they believe is the next number one. So I think we need to keep an eye on this one. I think it could have some movement. I think it could have some legs. I think he's been a fantastic goalkeeper. And yeah, I hope him, KDB, Alvarez, all get unsettled and all want to leave. It'd be brilliant. Let's see what happens. This one comes in. It's Flynn Downs from West Ham. He is a player that apparently the Southampton manager, Russell Martin, has said he will cry himself to sleep, quote, if the club do not complete the permanent signing of Flynn Downs from West Ham United. Now, he has been on loan at Southampton and is one of the reasons that they are now in the Premier League. He was by far, from what I hear, one of Southampton, if not the best player for Southampton the season just gone. And Russell Martin wants to keep him. Now, there are some rumours that Kyle Walker-Peters is wanted by West Ham United, which I think would be a phenomenal signing. He's a player I really like, by the way. Can play right back and left back. Has been very consistently good for Southampton and was good in the Premier League. So I think that'd be a good signing for West Ham. Maybe there's something in that in terms of a swap. Maybe they're going to look at some money in a swap for Kyle Walker-Peters. Maybe West Ham are happy to give him Flynn Downs and some money. And Kyle Walker-Peters comes to West Ham United, who, let's be real, need fullbacks. They need a whole new back line. They've got Max Kilman. They need to go and get a centre-half to partner him if they don't believe Aguerd and Zuma are good enough. And they need to go and get fullbacks for sure. So I think keep an eye on this one. I think West Ham definitely have some movement here. And I think this one could have some legs. So yeah, let's see. A few Arsenal rumours to end with. That's what we're going to end with. And of course, it is the rumour that Arsenal have potentially signed this guy. Now, this is an agreement with Ajax for the England Youth International, the under-20s England goalkeeper, 18-year-old Tommy Setford. Now, this is probably going to be Arsenal's third choice goalkeeper. A young kid that's going to have a progression route, that's going to be a homegrown player for Arsenal, that's going to sit on the bench and probably not do much other than learn. And that is the way I would like it. I don't really want a 40-year-old sitting on our bench clogging it up. It needs to be a homegrown player that can definitely tick the homegrown quota for Champions League football. I don't know anything about him. He's highly rated. He's got a big talent from what they say over in Ajax. He was born over in Amsterdam, which is why he's there, but he is English. And it looks like he's coming to Arsenal. Now, Fabrizio Romano is suggesting that we are signing him for around £1 million. So it's not going to cost a hell of a lot of money. We did, of course, we were, of course, linked with Dan Bentley, but that looks to have stopped now. I think what we've done. let's be real, is we've insulted Wolves and the player by offering £50,000 and getting it rejected. And I think they've said, don't bother coming back. And we've then moved on. And it looks now like Tommy Setford is coming to the Arsenal to sit on the bench and be the third choice goalkeeper and be our Scott Carson, but certainly a much younger version. In fact, almost 20 years younger. So that will be done. It looks as if the medical is all set and the agreed terms are there. So I think that'll be the next signing that Arsenal get. That one looks like it will be quite an easy one to do. One player who does look like they're leaving, of course, is Jakub Kivior. Now, I don't know where he's going, but apparently, according to Football Insider, Kivior will be allowed to leave Arsenal this summer. And the 24-year-old Polish defender is attracting interest for a number of Serie A clubs, Juventus being one of them. Now, I'm not gutted about this one as an Arsenal fan, but I will say that I thought he could have had more of a career there. I haven't really seen enough of him at left-sided centre-back to believe that he is a good enough centre-half for Arsenal, but certainly could have done a job. Now, if Calafiori comes in at Arsenal, that means that we have definitely upgraded in terms of quality because he's a better player than Jakub Kivior, but we haven't in terms of quantity. We've still got the same number of defenders. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do we need to add another centre-back or another full-back to Arsenal still if we're losing Kivior? Tavares has also gone to Lazio, we know, on loan. Kieran Tierney looking for a move. We don't know what's happening with Zinchenko. Watch what's happening on the defence with Arsenal, because there's a lot of rumours that I've heard that we are looking at Mark Guehi, and that one surprises me. He would come in and be cover for Saliba. Would he want to be cover for Saliba? I don't know. He'd probably want to play first-team football. I think Liverpool and Manchester United would be a better prospect for him because he's probably going to be guaranteed first-team football as he's not at Arsenal. They're not going to break Gabriel and Saliba up. Calafiori will come in and probably play left-back. Ben White will be right-back. We do have Tomiyasu and Timber that can cover full-backs and centre-backs. We do have Ben White that can cover the centre-back area. And we do, of course, now have Calafiori that can come in and cover the left centre-back. So maybe we don't need any more defenders. But injuries to Tomiyasu and Ben White would mean problems. Injuries to Saliba and Gabriel together would mean problems. So I don't know. Maybe another centre-back could be potentially needed at Arsenal. You need 8, don't you? You need 2 right-backs, 2 left-backs, and four centre-backs. Do we have that? I think we've got 6 or 7. Not sure we've got the full 8. So watch what happens with this at Arsenal. Another player that we are linked with, of course, is Mikel Mireno. Winner now, European winner now, of course. Arsenal are favourites to beat Aston Villa in the race to sign the Real Sociedad Spain midfielder, Mikel Mireno. He was 28. That's coming from Deportivo via goal over in Spain. He looks very likely to be on the move from Real Sociedad. Now, he's going to cost around 25 to 30 million euros. That's an absolute steal for a 28 international quality centre midfielder. He's got a lot of attributes that I do like. He's definitely got that physical, imposing presence. I think at 6'2", he's got a lot of skill and physical attributes, but also he's very good on the football, looks to be a very good passer of the ball. And I think he'll come in to play the kind of Granit Xhaka role. He will be an 8. I don't think he's a 6. He's definitely more of an 8. So that will mean that Rice will play 6, Moreno can play 8, and Erdegaard can play 10. But I don't think this is going to be the only player that Arsenal look at in midfield. I'll be absolutely stunned if this is the one player that we look at. I think there's going to be a lot more that we look at. And I don't know why, but something's telling me that the midfield area, we are going to get somebody in that we go, wow. I don't know if it's going to be João Neves. I don't know if it's going to be Bruno Guimaraes. I don't know if it's going to be Frankie de Jong. I have absolutely no idea. But this is the area that I think Arsenal fans could get most excited about by the end. And I think it could be a shock. I don't know who it's going to be. But I think keep an eye on this midfield because Mikel Moreno would not go wow to any Arsenal fan, right? No way. But it's one player that I think can come in, him and Rice being box to box, and maybe we look at the 6 and go and get an absolute monster in there. But let's see. Depends how much money Arsenal have got to spend. That's for sure. I still don't know where we're at in terms of how much money we've got. A lot of people are saying we've got a hell of a lot of money. People are saying that it's a player that will be looking at, or an area of the squad that we'll be looking at spending quite a lot of money on. So I don't know. It is where I'm at with this one. Let's move to this last story, actually, because it's not linked with Arsenal, but it's got a little bit of Arsenal in it. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. he is looking to move back to England. It says that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the Ox, is eyeing a return to English football after being told he's free to leave the Turkish side Besiktas this summer. So that, for me, could be a good signing for someone. 29 years old now, I believe. So not 30 yet. I mean, he's been around forever, hasn't he, the Ox? Did well at Arsenal, did well at Liverpool, but hasn't really found his feet after that. I loved the Ox. I absolutely loved him. I thought he was a phenomenal player at Arsenal. He was one that excited me. Playing in that 10, playing on that right wing. I actually think right wing was his best position, if I'm honest, because he could just beat a player, just kick the ball, run, and beat the man, whip a ball in. I thought he was a really good player. And he's one that excited me and lit up the stadium when he was a young kid. Would anyone be interested? I don't know. I don't know that he's the same player now. I think he's kind of in the Jack Wilshere mould where he might only have a couple of years left before he retires or decides that football has got to him. I think injuries have got to him and got the better of him and definitely stalled his potential because he was a player I thought was going to go on to do great things. I really did. I really thought he was going to be a top talent. I thought he was going to be up there with the Ramseys and Wilsheres and Walcotts. I thought he was going to be up there. And he never quite got to that level. At Liverpool, he obviously won Champions League and Premier League titles, but he wasn't a massive contributor. He wasn't the first team name on the team sheet. Obviously, Wijnaldum and Henderson were ahead of him. Coutinho was ahead of him at the time. Excuse me a sec. Wow, stretching my back out. Been sat down here too long. So watch the space on Oxlade-Chamberlain. It could be that he goes to a West Ham, or maybe, like Tony says, he could go back to Southampton. It could be a good signing for them. Maybe Ipswich Town or someone like that want to go and take a look at him. It would be a signing that certainly would light them up. A little bit in a Ross Barkley mould of what Luton did with him. Maybe Ipswich Town are looking at that and thinking that they could get the best out of Oxlade-Chamberlain. So let's see where we go with that one. Keep an eye on all things transfers. We are going to be back this evening. Myself and Northside are on at 7 p.m. here. So please make sure you join us there. And I will be back late this evening talking all things Arsenal on today's rumours. So please make sure you're there for that. How many likes have we got? If I click on it, have we got 200 yet? No. We're at 187. We are only 13 away, people. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please, let's do that now and hit the subscribe button. That means we're going to hit 21k and 200 likes all together at the same time if we do that. So please make sure we get there. This has been an absolute pleasure. As always, just over an hour. We're going to stop there. Thank you all so much for being here, man. Nearly 450 of you at one stage in the chat. That's fantastic numbers for this time of the morning. So please make sure that you've all hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure you catch up with us at 7 p.m. tonight. If you do want to come follow me on socials, it's at DanArsenal87. So please make sure you do that as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Take it easy. As always, up the Arsenal. Have a great day.